Hi guys, welcome to the video. So the more I get into Age of Sigmar, the more I feel that I'm watching a lot of videos, especially those by Vince Venturella. So I decided today I was going to do a response to his latest video, which is Shadespire, and that's actually caught my attention. And what I wanted to do today is basically talk through what I think of Shadespire, the main points of the game, that sort of thing, the pros, the cons, any concerns that I've got. So let's take a look. Oh, and one last thing. Thank you to everybody who noticed the red nose in the last video. I had a massive red nose. It's not so bad today, but it was really, really bad. And of course, I still haven't had a shave, so I'm looking like a hobo again. Maybe not without the hair. Right, that out of the way, let's have a look at the website. So I thought I'd show you the website while I'm talking about the game. I'm also going to talk about the website itself. So, how cool is that? That's a really nice effect. So yeah, what is Shadespire? Shadespire is a small, I want to call it a skirmish game, but it's really not. It's something quite interesting. I'm not sure it's been done before. I think the closest thing you're going to find is maybe the likes of X-Wing. If you just put aside for a moment your thoughts of spaceships and the movement and concentrate more on the fact that you've got a few miniatures with cards and you can use upgrade cards and whatnot. So Shadespire is set in the in Shadespire, essentially. That's the name of the city, I believe. Nagash ruined the place, and now it's a bit of a mess. But so let's start off with the game. So this is basically what you're looking at here. You're looking at a few models. This is what's in the starter box, I believe. A couple of Stormcast, and then some Khorne fellas, or generic Chaos fellas. I'm not sure. So that's what's included. You've got different dice, as you can see here. The dice, essentially, on your little cards, it's going to tell you what you're looking for. You need to match what it's looking for or get a critical to be successful. Obviously, criticals are more important than just normal successes. It's a really simple system. You have these game tiles. So each player has a game tile, and you can place them so that, just put this, they're about this big, so they're nice and small, so you can play it on a small table. You could put them so that they're both in line with each other like that, or you could put them offset. And what that does is, at this point here, it creates a nice little choke point, as it were. So you can have all your objectives like down here or up here, and have a choke point in between. Or you can put them level, or you can even put them like that, I believe. So it's a nice little dynamic where you can set up the table in the way that you want, which I thought was pretty cool. Anyway, back to the website. So that's the game board. For some reason I've got that up. And you've got cards. So this is where the cards come in. As I mentioned, it's similar to X-Wing. So you have your cards for your actual models. Then you've got objective cards. So you can draw objective cards, a bit like those in 40k. So you can have different objectives each turn, or the objective card might be something that you have to do on the last turn. That sort of thing. It could be get all of your models onto your opponent's starting tile. And you've got a deck. So you have a deck that you build. This is where it becomes interesting. So you have your normal cards, for your fighters, they do things, they've got basic stats. When you've reached certain goals, they will get turned over, and they become a little bit more powerful. It might not always be the case. I've got a feeling, I might be wrong, but when death die, they can be brought back. And I've got a feeling that when they're brought back, they might be brought back with the flip side, and it might actually be a weaker version. That would be really interesting, I think, compared to the rest of them, who basically get powered up as they achieve things. For example, Stormcast, if they block a certain maneuver, they become beefed up. The Chaos guys, if more than 3 models die on the table, they basically become enraged, and you get the idea. And then they all turn over and they become better versions of themselves. So you start off, you've got those cards, and you've also got a deck. And the deck is something you build, so it's a bit like a card game. So you're building a deck, and if we look back at the website, that keeps happening, you see you've got upgrade cards. These are things that you can spend some of your glory, which is what you're trying to achieve during the game, to put against your fighters. So you can make your fighters better by giving them these abilities, which is pretty cool. So you're going to be building and choosing your own upgrades. I think some of them are going to be specific to the army that you're playing. And you get ploys as well. So these are things you can play during the game. I think these are going to be the more generic ones that we're going to see, where you're basically going to be able to choose any ploy you want and put it into your deck. And these are things that you generally get on a turn, which make your guys better, or something happens, something strange happens. So that's pretty cool. And that's basically how the game goes. So I just wanted to now take a little bit of time, just sort of, I'll probably show you through, I'll probably stick it on this page here and we'll go through the different armies, bit of eye candy, while I just discuss my thoughts on it, to be honest. So it's going to be great for short games. You know me, I love skirmish games, I love small games. I'm really looking forward to the small playing area, because it is quite a small playing area, except for where you're going to put your cards around the outside. These are the corn guys. I think because of the low number of models, for example, the Stormcast is just 3 models, the Chaos guys are 5, that it's accessible, to be honest. It also bridges a gap between card players as well, the guys who play the card games. So that'll be interesting to see if any of those guys feel the need to jump in, or whether the miniatures will be a step too far. I mean, I might even consider playing this with the missus. See if she'll get into it. I certainly will be able to play it with the guys that I play board games with. I think this one will fit in perfectly with those guys. Essentially, if you're already playing some kind of one-on-one card game, it's not a massive step to get into this. I've also seen people playing with more than 2 players as well, so that's going to be interesting to see if they've added those rules into the game. Of course, I haven't played the game yet, but so a lot of this is speculation, but I've seen a battle report, so I've got a limited knowledge of how it works. We've got these awesome Death guys. It's nice to see Death getting some models for once. So those are the good points, things I'm really looking forward to. The accessibility, the playing with friends that I wouldn't normally play a war game with, the small area, you might even be able to play it on a train when you're travelling somewhere. That would be pretty cool. I do have some concerns though, so I'm trying, you know me, ever the pessimist, I'm trying not to get too excited by it all. But it's hard not to be honest, because it looks like it offers so much. So the card deck is going to change every time they release a new expansion. The expansions are likely to be armies at this stage, although down the line it could be anything. I don't know whether they're going to be doing blind card decks or whether it's going to be like a living card game. So essentially, whenever a new expansion comes out, you just buy a box, and that gets you all the cards. I hope it's the latter of that, although that does mean that the meta is going to change very, very quickly. When they release a new faction, that comes with new ploys. People are going to be putting those ploys into their armies, and you're going to see builds and net lists, essentially, building up. And it'll change very, very quickly, and there's a risk that it'll become very, very samey as well. Mainly because it's cards that are all going to be released at the same time. It's a lot easier to change a meta in a card game than it is to change on a tabletop game. A tabletop game, people have got to go out, buy the models, build the models, paint the models, learn how to play. With cards, you just get the cards. That's it, really. So I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical on whether we're just going to see the same, because you've basically got the same characters in each army, it seems. The same 5 guys in every corner army. They're all named characters and they've got the same cards. So it'd be interesting to see if we get more characters, different cards, that sort of thing. That'll be nice to see. It'll help on that front in terms of having these samey armies with exactly the same decks, and you sort of know what you're coming up against based on a build. Although there is a little bit of charm to that, because that essentially it becomes quite a competitive and tournament-scene game, and I must admit there is a little bit of a draw and charm to that when you hear it spoken about Magic the Gathering. I mean, I'd like to see maybe you can use different models. I'd like to see different cards that aren't characters. I think there might be some Death models here where they basically the same thing. Champion, issue, petitioner. So there's 3 models there which are not named characters. So there's a little chance there for you to do a bit of customization on you guys. Will you have the choice of being able to take more than just the 3 basic petitioners? I don't know at this point whether the armies are locked down to just basically the units that you have, or whether you've got any points, that sort of thing. So It'll be interesting to see if that becomes a thing, whether everybody's going to be taking the same army, in which case if you've got Skaven against Skaven or Death against Death, you're going to see the same models, the same named characters facing off against each other. And nobody likes to see that, let's be honest. It does detract somewhat. So those are my main concerns, really. I'm just worried that they're going to get very samey very quickly. And are we going to lose a lot of variety and fun from that aspect of the game? I guess only time will tell on that one. And I've already covered basically where will the game fit in. This is one of the things that Vince mentioned in his video. To be honest, depending, because it's nice quick games, you're looking at 20 minutes a game, best of 3 in an hour. I can see it being done on travelling, especially if you're using the train. I can see it being played in between games. May as well bring it back to me here. I can see it being played at work, to be honest, on my lunch breaks. It's not something I can do with a war game. At work, I can just plonk down on a table. It'll fit on a fairly small table. Me and a couple of workmates can crack out cards and a couple of models, and we can have a couple games. And that's something that that'll be very different. I mean, it'll even fit into board game events. So there's a lot of board game cafes that are popping up all over the UK. And they've got fairly small tables. So they're big enough for a normal-sized board game and all the paraphernalia that goes around it. But they are nowhere near big enough for a war game. And there's loads of them popping up all over the place. And this is a game that will fit on those tables. So this is something I can go into town, I can meet some friends at the board game cafe, we can drink some drinks, we can have some awesome food, and we can play a semi sort of quasi war game at a board game cafe. And that's something that really appeals to me. I don't know about you guys. I know it's a problem over in America, because I think over in America every game shop has a ridiculous number of tables and you really don't struggle for places to play. But over here in the UK, we don't have any game stores, or rather they're quite few and far between. They're certainly not generally in the middle of cities. So you can't sort of go into the middle of a city and jump into one. And what we do have is an insurgence of these board game cafes, and this is something that will be playable in there. And that really appeals to me because, again, it's leading to accessibility. You're going to see people playing it. You can play it in more venues. We don't have to scurry away into our little dens to play war games like I do here, or a club night that's in the back of some pub somewhere. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. I think I might try and get hold of the starter box. I can do a little review or a little bit more in depth, or a follow up to this video when I get hold of that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed looking at the website with me, learning about Shadespire, and yeah, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. It's a very strange game. It's a very new thing. GW putting a lot of money behind it. It's got hype, but we need to make sure that we stay a little bit. I don't know. I don't want to get over excited about it, because there's a very real chance that it could turn into a monster all of its own, as these things tend to. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to cover, so helps if I get the right screen. Okay, that aside, I'm not creating this video again, so I'm leaving that in, because as you know, I make my videos in one shot. I just have funky playing with cameras and switching screens and that sort of thing. So let me know what you think then. Thoughts is what I was trying to get out. Keep up with me in between videos over here. I'm getting a lot of work done. I've based some more Skaven. If you've been following my social media, these things, you'll have seen that. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Stay well, guys.